And welcome to the Talon Outdoor Show. I'm Charlie.
And I'm JD.
And I'm Fred.
I'm Captain Paul.
And I'm Grant.
Hey.
Robert's over there hiding.
Hey, Robert.
Howdy.
There you go. He spoke. He's being polite. Oh, man. What a week. We rolling in here. We were not that y'all care out there in radio land or internet land, but we had to record a little late today because somebody had me saddled up to go to some civic club here in town. And thank you, Fred.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm just amazed that they let Fred in a civic club.
Well,
Yeah.
see, normally he's here during their civic meetings. And I was like, do you ever actually come to this? Because this is during the radio show when we record. And he goes, well, when I'm not on the radio. And I'm like, so you don't show up very often, obviously. So they
thanked him.
Very influential,
Yeah.
very well, I mean, I was looking at the membership list and not to name names, but yeah, I wonder how Fred got in there. Well, his dad's in it.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
there you go.
legacy member.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like being in the.
I'm the DEI hire.
That's like looking in the fraternity and go, yeah, all y'all are, where'd that guy come in?
Otter.
no.
He's a legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah.
We have any 22 Hornet ammunition?
I know I bought some a few days
If
ago.
we
Should
do,
have.
Fred has to buy some
Okay.
for his dad.
Put it on my credit
Yeah.
card.
Yeah. So
We had a whole bunch of ammo come in today, so yeah, I probably do as of today.
I don't know what he wants a 22 Hornet.
don't worry
ammunition
about it.
for.
He wants it, and I feel obligated to make sure you take it with you. So, man, the weather's been nice, and the ranges have been busy, and you know it is
No
what it
rain.
is that time of year. The rain's been it's over here in Tallahassee. The roads are dry. We don't have to worry about bogging to get back to the skeet facilities. I guess the river finally went down.
River went away. Got 2 of the 3 skeet fields up and running this weekend. So one of the skeet fields is the wireless controller had to get sent back because we don't work on circuit boards here. We fix the mechanical stuff in house, but we don't work on circuit boards.
But you can come shoot skeet and everything.
Yeah.
I know in
Sporting
Dothan
clays
haven't been
working.
any issues at all. If we had flooding at the Dothan range, Noah better start building the dadgum ark because.
Well, I mean that's only like 6 years away. You know, I mean, I saw a thing on the internet. All the ice packs melting, and this is where the coast.
6 years away, we're gonna.
Yeah, absolutely. 2030. Yeah, by 2030, Florida will be completely underwater, along with the whole southern, like from the Georgia Alabama line down.
Good
and
thing
New
I got
Orleans
my
and-
chest
That's why I
waders
built my
patched.
house on a hill, so I'm good.
Yeah, I mean that's what they said.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's completely.
Maybe I
valid.
won't sell my boat after all.
We still got a full moon going right now.
It's pretty close, but not quite. You only really have
this
full
side
moon
of it.
like a day.
We
and
on the
then
back.
it's,
We on the
you know,
backside of the full moon.
Well, I
Is
think
that waxing or waning?
Waning.
Waning.
Oh,
Waning.
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 Well, I think it affected some dude on the way over here on the interstate. There was a guy breakdancing on a motorcycle.
What?
Yeah.
But if you're gonna break dance, all right, you're gonna
Yeah,
break crash.
It's called
break
an organ
something.
donor. We
Break
call those
something.
organ donors in the law enforcement
He
business.
kept running up next to me and grinning there,
He's gonna end up in the hospital. Speaking of hospitals, all right. So I was in Dothan the other day, and I pull up next to. You asked what we're gonna talk about. Well, here we pulled up next to.
breakdance in the hospital. All right.
He's gonna get in a crash. He's gonna end up hurt. He's gonna end up in a hospital.
All right, I got it.
And
Speaking of
and
hospitals,
this may hit home with some people in the room. I was sitting in traffic the other day, and I'm in the inside lane, and I look over and I hear a horn blow on the left side of my car, or my truck, and I look out there, and there's this little lady, a little advanced in years, and she rolls the window down and looks at me like she needs something, and I'm like, okay, what did I do? Did I cut her off in traffic? Is she fixing to flip me off? What is going on? I forgot I'm in Dothan, so people are nice there. And so I roll the window down, and she goes, do you know how to get to, it was something like Dogwood Memorial or something Memorial, and I was like, well, I'm from Tallahassee. So I'm thinking, I said, ma'am, I know there's 2 big hospitals.
There's Flowers in
I said, is
Southeast.
that like a hospital? And she goes, no, honey, it's a funeral home. And I went, oh, so it's like the next step. And I said, no, ma'am, I don't know where it's at. But I said, so I'm a little late to the hospital game there. I said, hang on, let me Google it. If I can Google it before the light turns green, I'll tell you where it is. Ended up, she was turning left, and that was exactly where she needed to go.
Probably made that poor
Maybe
woman
somewhere
cry.
else. And then I got to thinking about it, and I said, why did I think that was a hospital? And I got looking at it, and I'm going, how many funeral homes have memorial? Okay, so memorial is when somebody, you build a building in
memory of the.
Okay, but it's also most memorial places are not hospitals; they're funeral homes, or you have a memorial to somebody who's already dead. And in Tallahassee, we have our biggest hospital is a memorial hospital.
Yeah, it's
and so I'm like, that's kind of morbid. I mean, you go to hospital and you're going to the memorial hospital. That's not a good sign. That's branding.
Why I don't go there.
That's a branding issue. Hey, the school board got a new brand. I think the hospital ought to rebrand and spend some money on rebranding, because now I'm cool with a county hospital, something county hospital. Now, it connotates a smaller hospital. Maybe they don't have the resources that something like, I don't know, a community hospital might have, or even a regional hospital. And now you don't want to go too far because you end up in a state hospital.
Yeah.
Now, I know all about them.
A state. And then I got thinking about, well, if it's a state hospital, well, I know we have Florida State Hospital.
That's one I know about.
That's where JD grew up, right there in the shadow
That's
of it.
fact. No.
And so, I said, well, maybe is Florida unique? Are state hospitals always mental institutions, or is it something else? So I got to looking around the country. This is what I do when I'm driving and I don't have anything else to do.
That's why you don't want to ride with Charlie driving.
And so I googled state hospitals, and most state hospitals in Michigan and other state hospitals are in fact mental hospitals. Yeah. So you don't want to be. Now there are state-owned hospitals that are not mental hospitals, but it's all in the. I guess it depends on what you're used to. So I mean,
I enjoyed my stay at the state hospital. They were very polite to me.
Mm-hmm.
Fed you?
Oh, fed me. Gave me a white suit.
So
all snuggly and warm.
Yeah. How many times do you see the name of an organization and you have no idea what they're about?
Pretty often. Yep.
It's I mean, even like the medical marijuana dispensaries now have all like Sanctuary or something or whatever, and
the weed store.
Yeah, I mean, it just.
If I open one of them, it'd just be the weed.
And they
store.
don't even have a picture of a marijuana plant leaf on it. It's just like some brand like logo or something. And I'm like, I'm just walking there, and you walk in there, and it's
the weed store.
Oh, you got gummies and candy and all kinds of stuff.
I was at
How much is that? Well, do you have a prescription? What?
I was at the hardware store the other day and looking for some fertilizer for the yard, and asked if I had any weed and feed. The woman looked at me like I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah,
I got some funny. Speaking of fertilizer, when I was speaking today at this civic club,
speaking of fertilizer,
I think I went a little too far. I was like, if you come to my house, if the world ends and you come to my house, I'm gonna stack you up at the end of the driveway.
He told them that. They're all like, oh Lord, what's Conrad bringing in today?
Well, I would look around the room, and I got some nods. I'd say stuff. I'd get a nod. I got a few nods, but I'm not, then a few people came. Some of them are thinking, well, honestly, I think a few of them probably don't have a plan and never really considered a plan.
I think they're considering it now.
Well, I kind of put the fear at the end of the world in them, and that was not my intention necessarily.
But his crazy thing about this, Charlie, is 10 or 12 years ago when we started doing what we do, which is teaching people how to shoot guns, how to defend themselves, how to carry, how to carry their firearm, how to use their firearm, when to use their firearm. The stuff that you and I talk about more now was never even in part of our thoughts. Right. We're not the crazy tinfoil hat, Uncle Bob with the Connex box buried in his backyard, but I'm starting to think he was on the right track. He just got there early. You know what I'm saying? It's just, and it's like this feeling that a lot of people are having right now that we're coming up to the edge of this cliff, and it's. Well,
if you look at what's going on in the country.
Correct. If you're paying attention
attention.
It's not just the country, it's the world. If you're paying attention to all the stuff going on in the world, it's like we're coming up on this thing, and everybody kind of feels it. Everybody's afraid to verbalize it because you don't want to be thought of as Uncle Bob with a tinfoil hat.
Is that because we live in a 24-hour news cycle information era, or is it was this stuff always going on, or do we just know about it?
News has changed. News ain't what news used to be.
Yeah.
You can't trust any of it.
You can't trust any of it.
No, you can't.
I think we can pick up when we get back here in just a minute. Let's pick up right there when we come back. All right. back. So when we left, JD, you made the point that when we started this, we're teaching people about, and I consider the immediate safety concerns that you might have. I'm getting robbed on the street corner. Somebody's breaking in my house. This is very, very short term. This is critical incident. That's what we spent a long, long time preparing people for, and that's been the focus of our business since the beginning.
And still is.
Yeah, and we still do. But you and I and the rest of us have evolved into now thinking, and I was talking to the group today, and I said, listen, I'm looking at a room full of men with means. Okay, you are people who have established yourself in your life, and you have money in your bank account, which, by the way, with a power surge and the internet going down and power not working, all of that wealth that you've established disappears. You just live in a nicer, place than some people might live in, but you have to depend on what's in your four walls, what's on your property, what do you have. And I said, as I've gotten older, and I've matured more and I've learned more, I've started to focus more on the duty that I have to my family and to the people around me and to my very small community to be able to leave a legacy behind me, because a legacy is just what you leave. It's not your name on a building. It's what information do you leave. How do you prepare your family, and what do you teach your kids so that they can carry on a lifestyle and survive? And the thing is some of the people in the rooms today that were there, they remember when people still knew how to do things. As a general rule. I mean, society could have completely. There was no internet. People had to live off of what they grew in the garden, what they bought from the trading post or whatever, the grocery store back then. And but now, I don't think there's anybody so old it was a trading post, but you know what I mean. So if the world ended today, where's that knowledge base? Well, it exists in paper, not on the internet. If the world ended, you wouldn't be able to look it up, but right now you can.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it's the same. I look back, I spent a whole lot of time of my youth with my grandparents. My parents worked. My grandparents were essentially retired, so I spent a whole lot of time at my grandparents' house. And I look back, they didn't go to the store but once every couple of weeks, and that was to buy, basic stuff. But food, there was always tons of food in the house. It was stuff that they put up, that they canned, that there was 2 big old chest freezers full of fish and meat and whatever else, quail and stuff like that. They didn't have to go to the store. And I thought about our life. We're 5 minutes from Publix, and my wife goes to the store or buys groceries 3 or 4 times a week, drives me up the wall. But she won't keep anything in the house because, I'll just run down the store and get it. Now we got freezers full of meat and stuff. I'm talking about just, the side dishes and stuff. But, my grandparents, big bag of rice, canned stuff that they put up, mason jars full of, we had 2 acres of garden out by the house that we kept planted with vegetables, and once a year you always got something that you're bringing in and putting up, whatever, and people just don't do that anymore.
I do.
Well, just processing.
A lot of people, the vast majority of our society is hand to mouth, going to the store when you need something, running up to the fast food joint and getting something to eat.
Because when I grew up, where I grew up on Millstone, the closest grocery store was the Publix up where the police station is going in.
Yeah.
And
at Northwood Mall. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a 30-minute haul. Thomasville Road was 2 lanes. So, once every couple of weeks, my mom would go to the store.
Yeah.
Well, my wife said the other day, we were somewhere and looked over at some canning jars, and she goes, I want to learn how to can stuff. My grandma did it. And I said, well, Mom, she goes, your mom does it some and all that. And I said,
it ain't that hard.
It's not hard, honey. We just need to get, probably have
pressure
what we
cooker,
need.
mason jars.
Yeah. And I said, and so we planted citrus trees and some different things around the house. And there again, it's not I got to run out and learn all this today. But, it's the people out there going, well, what are you talking? Where do you start? And I said, well, you start with things go to crap. And what's your family plan? What's your rally point? Obviously, it's going to be the house if possible, but what if? And it's what if happens? What if something happens to one of us, and the patriarch of the family is not capable of leading? What then? Mm-hmm. But what's the game plan? Have you talked to your wife about that? Have you talked to your adult children about that kind of stuff? What happens if it happens during school?
Yeah.
My number one goal is to get there and get my kids, because my kids don't ride a bus. They're not coming home on the bus. And I wouldn't trust them on the bus anyway in a time like that. So if you're not thinking about these things, if you don't have a plan,
well,
then
the rest
get
of that,
one.
if you've never, it's just like we talk about critical incident when we're doing training and talking about critical incident and active shooter response and all this stuff that we teach. This stands true with what we're talking about. If you've never so much as even had the conversation, if you've never practiced it, if you've never talked about it, you're going to have what I call that empty Rolodex. And for people that know what a Rolodex is, you're going to have that empty file on your computer. When you go, okay, end of the world as we know it file, pull up, there's going to be nothing in that file. Because you've never talked about it. And under stress, if you've never talked about it, you never thought about it, you never planned for it, you never trained for it, and there's nothing in that brain under a critical stress, you're going to do that. You're going to do absolutely nothing. And that's...
Yeah. No, I mean, when 9/11 happened, my office downtown, and the second plane hit the tower. And
Well, that's when we knew they were serious.
Yeah, and George W. Bush was president, and I'm like, well, his brother is right down the road.
Yeah.
When that second plane hit, I mean, it wasn't 10 seconds. I told my secretary, we're gone for the day. I hightailed it in my truck, straight to the kids' school, straight home, get out of town.
Yeah.
Because if it's going to hit the Capitol, I mean, if they're going to hit it somewhere else,
I'm laughing because when it hit, the second plane hit, I was watching. My wife had woke me up on the first one. I'd been out all night on a call, and I was a robbery detective, and I was on the SWAT team. And she woke me up, and I looked at it. She said, "Turn on the TV now," and I turned it on, and that's when I saw the second plane hit the second tower. And I started putting on my SWAT stuff because I knew we were fixing to get called out. And it wasn't long, the pager went off. They sent us to the Capitol with machine guns to protect the Capitol. And we're sitting there walking around, and I'm like, what
MP5 versus 737.
What are we supposed to do?
Shoot at the plane coming.
I'm like, well, I mean, you can shoot at it or run. If you shoot at it, it's going to crash anyway. It's going to crash 10 feet sooner. I don't know. I mean, I'm like, okay. So we were there and then the Florida SWAT magazine had a picture of Sparky Pruitt and Chris Chase out there walking around or something like that. And it was, we were guarding the Capitol, and I was like, how? And so when I think about it today, when I was talking, I said, you got to understand this. When the proverbial mess hits the fan, the cops aren't coming. I mean, we'll do it if there's a threat, and society's not going to crumble. But if society starts to crumble where it's bad enough, cops are taking care of their family, dude. They're not going to work. They're not going to come to your house. First off, you're not going to be able to reach them to communicate with them anyway, and they're not going to be patrolling your neighborhoods. They're going to go home.
Well, the thing about it, I've followed that kind of stuff. I mean, I read the 1 Second After. I mean, I'm kind of into that sort of preparedness and have been for a long time. My wife knows that as well. We didn't even communicate when that happened. She went and picked up the other kid, and we arrived at home at the same time. So, I mean, we had that plan. And, that's something we discussed.
Absolutely.
And thankfully, they didn't hit us, but.
Well, so people out there, y'all should be talking to your family, and you should look at your home environment. And I challenge the guys today. I said, go home and look around, sit down with your family tonight at dinner and say, okay, what would happen if things went to crap and the phones quit working and the internet went down and the power grid didn't work and I didn't come home, what would you do? What if I did come home? What would we do? And so I said, I don't think you're going to be happy
what can
with the
you
answer
be
you're gonna
doing
get.
while I'm on the way home? What is the first?
Right. What happens when the pantries are empty in the house? What are you going to do? And the answer is probably going to be, we're going to go knock on the neighbor's door. Well, they're not going to want to feed you. They got the same problem.
Probably won't let you get close to the house for that matter.
So people, you have to, make your plan as big or as small as you want. It can be just a basic survival plan on how do I get home if we had a EMP pulse and the truck wouldn't crank. How do I get to the house? Well, there's things you can do about that. We have EMP devices you can put on that, keep that from happening. And you can order them. You can find them. We have some here in the store. But the fact is how would you get home, and what would your family do in the meantime? I have my family spread out across 3 counties in 2 different cities, and it's at some point in time I'm going to go get my adult children and my grandchildren. I know where they live, and I'm going to go there and I'm going to take some help with me, and we're going to go get them. Now, I don't expect my daughter and my 3 grandchildren to pile up and drive to my house 2 counties away. She needs to stay put and wait for me to come get her. And I'm going to fight my way to come get her. And if somebody gets in the way, then woe be unto them. They're not going to track me on GPS. And if the ain't going to be running to ballistics. And I'm just telling you, I'm going to do what I got to do to get my family put together. There's a paradigm shift in the way things are going to work if it gets that bad. And you've got to plan for it.
I would say this: I don't think we would ever see another 9/11 because of the spying or the intelligence gathering stuff, the Patriot Act, and all this other stuff where they're
That's going to be a cyber attack.
monitoring the nets. Well, I would say the internet and the phones and everything are so heavily monitored now, they would never be able to coordinate that type of a very complicated scenario again. What I think you would see now would be pre-planned cells of groups of people, possibly that might have crossed over the southern border, and the millions we don't know who they are, and then all of a sudden they've got to say, okay, on such and such a date and time, we're going to attack these 10 places. That's the concept of what I think you would see if you saw a terrorist attack. Now, it's probably already been planned and in the works at some point.
Or just flat-out cyber attacks.
Or just a flat-out cyber attack that
shut down our grid.
That everything the grid goes
shut down. A gentleman today said, most of the cranes that are unloading ships in our ports are, in fact, are Chinese.
Yeah.
And their computers and all the software was written in China. And they could probably shut that down.
So are these cell phones, right?
Just think, and if you don't think that they have the capability of disrupting our society right now with the push of a few buttons, then I don't think you're thinking it right. All right, we'll be back in just a minute. And we're back. So if you're listening to the show today when it airs terrestrially at 10 a.m. in our radio markets, at about 3:30 p.m., I've got Billy Bailey coming to my house. Billy Bailey is our friend who is going to teach me and my family about gathering plants, edible plants, medicinal plants, things like that. I want to know what kind of crazy little weeds I have growing around my shack. You're
going to be listening to the Grateful Dead and out there moving your hands across your eyes.
Yeah, could be. I don't know. He says some of these herbs have medicinal effects. I don't know what herbs he's talking about, but we're going to find out.
Most of them will probably clean your colon.
Yeah. So it's
I got that coming in a couple of weeks.
I was watching him the other day on Facebook. He said something about making this and that and spicing this and using. He said, and I got dog fennel and that's fennel. Okay, I know fennel's a spice. Well, dog fennel is in fact a version of fennel, I guess. I don't know.
Can't eat dog
I'm gonna
fennel.
find out. Well, apparently he made like tea with it or something.
Dog
and I'm
fennel
allergic
what?
as all get out to dog fennel.
I
If
am
you
too.
get out in dog fennel and I mow it, I swell up like JD does when bahia grass is
oh yeah,
in
I
season.
remember as a kid, your dad used stuffed duck blinds with dog fennel. I'm out there just sneezing. He's going to town.
Yeah, I'm allergic to it, but I don't know if I put it in a tea or something. But no, but the thing is, so he's going to come out and do it.
Clean your colon.
He's been doing 2 and 3 walks a day with
sinuses.
different families.
Oh, yeah.
He's been all over the place meeting with, going out and meeting folks and walking their property and stuff. And I mean, trying to get in with him has been kind of difficult. Getting him over here for the show has been impossible. So I think what I might do is we've got a recording device, and JD, I may just take the recording device over to him and do a segment, and talk about some of this stuff, and then bring it back, and we'll just plug it into the show. Because since he's struck out on his own, he's been super, super busy, and but there again, we'll roll him in here and get him to teach some stuff for us, or he can teach us, and we'll share the knowledge. I'd a whole lot rather have him doing it, because I might point you in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that
Clean your
mushroom's
colon.
all right to eat. I'm not
Man,
sure.
I tell you, I don't.
You either going-
I ain't eating no mushroom that I pick, because there's too many of them. The bad ones look like the good ones, and
Yeah.
I just don't. Some of them will kill you graveyard dead, and those people go out and hunt these mushrooms. Oh, look at this! This is a beautiful such and such. I was like, well, looks just like that, and it'll kill you to me. But
Yeah.
I'll just do without mushroom.
I live off the
If I got
rats.
to pick
I get live off the rats. This dog right here catches because he is a rat catching fool.
And he don't eat the car to do it.
Yeah, whatever happened to the?
no.
to
Yeah,
the
what
car-
happened? The car fixed?
Well, we filed an insurance claim, and they're paying. Of course, there's the deductible, but they're paying for it. And Brandon Lawson over here across the street is going to fix it for us just as soon as the parts get in. And yeah, it's going to $3,500.
What happened to the dog?
I don't know. She's gone.
She gone.
Oh.
I threw her in the back of the car with Donna after she did that. And she says she took it and called the dog catcher's boss and had him come pick it up. But I don't know.
We probably shouldn't ask.
I don't dig into that too far. She I've never seen that woman that mad in my life.
I wouldn't.
And
want
I've
to.
done some stuff to make her mad, but I've never made her that mad. She liked that car, and we'll like it again soon.
So I got my hearing aids fixed this week.
Finally, yeah.
Yeah, and they updated it on a phone. This thing now has a thing where you can take your phone and set it and walk away, and you can hear what's going on around the phone when you're in another room.
Really?
Yeah, so we got some folks coming over this weekend. One of these cackling hens is going to be hanging out with my wife, and I'm going to sit that thing in the kitchen while I'm outside on a grill,
Is that legal?
find out what they're saying.
Is that legal?
Is that
It's
legal?
his house.
It's my home.
Okay. No expectation of privacy
No
there.
expectation.
Now, I'm pretty sure you can't do that in like a city official, county official's office or anything. That's kind of stuff you got to tell them. You're
Well, it's
recording
to
them.
record it. To record it.
To record it, to listen in,
Listen
it might
in.
be able to,
Oh yeah.
Listening
yeah.
in just would be hearsay in
That's
court if
different,
I'm right.
yeah, that's the possibilities are endless.
So it's gotten to the point now where you can't even talk about somebody when they're not in the room.
I mean, just.
I think you got the same hearing aids I got. We need to talk about
Yeah,
this.
this is going to be so much fun.
We'll be right back.
That's cool.
We got the.
And we're back. So, Fred, did you read about this fella and his wife that got arrested for having ammo in their carry-on bag? At
I
Turks and
did.
Caicos?
Yes, I did read that. Could you have 12-year minimum mandatory?
Yeah.
Just for ammo?
So he had some
Turks and
hunting
down,
rounds.
down in Central or the Caribbean.
And let me tell you, that scared the bejesus out of me. That same thing happened to me.
What?
That same thing happened to me on an elk hunt in New Mexico. I shot out on the last day. I ended up going to the airport, still in my hunting gear with my knapsack, and I thought that I had took my little rounds.
Yeah.
You know, the little plastic.
But that was in the United States.
Yes. And I got flagged by the TSA, and they wouldn't tell me. There was going to mean-looking people over there, and they had me sitting in the corner, and everybody looking at me like I'm some sort of derelict. And then they called the local cops, and they came over and looked at me like I was a derelict, and they didn't know what to do. And then they called the FBI.
Oh, my gosh.
And then they started in on the good cop, bad cop routine. And I finally like, look, I'm wearing a hunting suit. Here's my iPad. That's the elk I killed this morning. And explained to him. And it turned out one of the FBI guys was stationed here at one point.
Yeah, that's the one that drove you to the drove
Yeah,
you to your next
and
flight
then
or
the
whatever.
connection,
Yeah.
you know, and so he ended up booking me on another flight because I missed a flight and drove me to I guess it was Albuquerque where he drove me to, and got me on another flight and had a nice conversation with the guy all the way home.
This was the case that Charlie's talking about was down in Turks and Caicos in the Caribbean island, its own country down there, and apparently this couple goes down there. Were they on a cruise ship or something? And
No,
They
what
were
had happened
flying
was
or-
they flew in,
flew in and
and the TSA missed it here,
right
and the guy never went through
through
his
the
nuts,
bag. He's just using
and then
his
he's
bag.
coming back, and the TSA down there got him.
Yeah,
And now this guy is stuck in the Turks and Caicos. They got him on a bond. He's got to check in every Tuesday and Thursday or whatever.
Finally did bond out, but they arrested him and his wife.
Oh yeah,
three bullets,
Yeah.
three
Yeah.
rounds
3
of ammo.
bullet, no gun, no, just 3
Yeah.
bullets.
So now he's stuck there. He can't leave. You know, they got a GoFundMe page going on to cover their. He's having to pay living expenses down there.
Oh yeah,
Looking
And
at a
he-
12-year prison sentence.
Minimum mandatory.
and apparently that's Bahamian law that covers that. And because I got to think,
they'll
I'm
be
like,
going there.
we're going to the Bahamas in in a month.
Check your bag.
Take your business
And
cards.
I'm over there shaking out suitcases and cutting the lining, and I'm like,
Yeah, what you need to do is take the Bahamian bar exam and then go down there and go, hey, man, here's my card.
yeah, no,
Show up in flip-flops.
I don't think they make you actually take a bar exam in the Bahamas. I think you just
No, but
hand
you-
them some money and they. Hey.
Well, actually, I know a guy who tried a case, a local lawyer who tried a case in the Bahamas, you had to have a Bahamian lawyer with you. It's called pro hoc vice, or if you're like a fancy elitist lawyer, you call it pro hoc vice. I just call it vice because that's the way it's spelled. And so you have to have a licensed Bahamian lawyer, but you have to wear a wig.
What?
Oh, like British.
Like
Because
the
they're
UK.
they're a
Powdered-
British territory
Yeah.
technically.
Well,
yeah.
you need
So
one anyway.
That's
so,
kind of what I
know.
was thinking. I mean, with my toupee count.
So I had some.
You know.
I had some friends several years ago that went fishing.
Uh-huh.
Left from Jupiter or Stewart, going across to
Yeah.
fish the Bahamas, fish the bank, some place they were going over there fishing trip, right? And there was like 3 boats of them that left, so they're traveling across there in this convoy of boats to go over there and fish. Well, the harbor master or whatever, when you get over there into their territorial waters to fish, you have to go check in with their Coast Guard or whatever, pay your daily fee to fish their waters or whatever, and then you can go fish. So you make the trip over there, and apparently down there they kind of open shop whenever they feel like it. It's supposed to be 9 o'clock or whatever in the morning that they're supposed to somebody be there, and you go in, you call them on the radio, you tell them you're coming in, you go in, you check in, you buy your license, you go fish, you go home. Well, they get over there after driving across from from Florida. They get over there, they start calling. The place is supposed to be open. Somebody's supposed to be answering. Well, somebody didn't show up to work that morning at the harbor master or whatever. They didn't show up to work. It was time, and they've spent all this money and gas money and stuff to go over there and plan this trip. And they go there and they're not answering the phone basically. So 2 of the boats are kind of like 2 of the guys at the boats are going, yeah, we're not fishing. We're gonna go sit out here until somebody answers the radio, gives us permission to come do whatever we got to do. And one of the guys was kind of like, I ain't playing I'm gonna go fishing. So he goes fishing, and they're out there fishing, and finally whoever shows up to work, and and they're out there in a patrol boat with a 50 Ma Deuce 50 mounted on the front of the boat. And he sees them coming, and he knows he's in the wrong because he ain't checked in, he ain't got a license. So real smart guy. He goes, I can outrun them.
Oh yeah,
hammered down on his sport fisher or whatever. He hammers down and starts heading back to Florida, and they light the boat up, shoot his engines out
Oh my God.
put him and everybody on the boat in jail, lock them up, and that fishing trip ended up from what I was told, ended up costing them just right about $100,000 to get out of their fishing trip mess up, and because he was just being impatient. He's I ain't waiting on these people. Well, they just kind of showed up to work when they wanted to show up. And he was being impatient about. But when you're fishing in somebody else's yard, you play by their rules.
Oh, yeah.
Rule of thumb to that is, when you play in somebody else's pool, you better follow the rules. Is what it boils down
So
to.
on my honeymoon in 93 when I got married, we went to the Virgin Islands. And back then you could captain your own boat, and so I got grandfathered in. And when I go back now, I can still captain my own boat. When you cross over into the British Virgin Islands, you got to go to the nearest
Port of call
custom shop and go in there. If you don't say good morning to them when you walk in or good afternoon, they won't talk to you. They just have this. And once you say good morning or good afternoon, then they'll chat you up, and then you have to pay your little thing and show them your passport, fill out this long form and all that. They give you this certificate that's suitable for framing that certifies you to sail the seas of the 7 world, all this stuff. And,
It's like something you get at Disney.
But if you don't check in and they catch you in it, you're going to jail.
Yeah. Well, these guys not only got their engine shot up in the boat, but which was obviously did a significant amount of. You catch a 50 BMG through the engine block,
Oh, yeah.
it ain't gonna run too good after that.
Yeah, and they'll shoot you out.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been stopped in their waters, and thank God I had all my stuff.
Yeah. Well,
And,
like I said, it's
you don't play in those foreign countries.
Well, and that's my point, and I hate it for this guy, and it sounds completely ridiculous to us that somebody would get locked up for 12 years for having a bullet or 2 or 3 rounds of ammunition, but you got to be careful when you're in somebody else's.
Do not play in those.
It is very easy to mess up and not realize what you have done until somebody
And these gun
shows you and you go, "Oh my
they
Lord, how
get
did
caught
that
with a
happen?"
gun, they just let them go. They don't do nothing.
Well, the crazy,
yeah.
I had a hard time getting on an airplane with a plastic keychain that looked.
Oh, yeah.
Plastic keychain ornament that looked like a 308 bullet. It had never been a 308. It was a plastic bottle
You
opener.
have a hard time getting on airplanes. Anytime we quit flying on. The reason we bought that van out there in the parking lot to go on our hunting trips and stuff with is so I don't have to talk JD out of going to jail every time we fly somewhere, because he does not. Don't leave me.
I've had him take.
Don't do well in the airport.
No, I don't.
They always get upset at me because I always get pulled out of line after that bullet incident, and they want to frisk me and all that. And I always ask for the female; they won't give it to me.
It don't matter. I've never
joke with 'em.
I've never gotten in trouble for anything though, Fred. And they pick me out of the crowd, and I don't know
look
why.
like
but
trouble,
I
though.
probably just look like trouble or something.
I've seen that.
Am I lying?
Yeah, I know, and I've seen you go through it. I used to get perverse enjoyment out of it until I got in trouble, but now I don't. I'm like, I don't want to be in this place anymore. But they'll over there, and JD will say, I have an artificial hip, and I'm pretty sure one of them fellows was trying to feel the actual hip bone. He kept
trying to
going
find
deep as
that
he
metal.
could up in there trying to check it out. JD's getting uncomfortable. It was making me uncomfortable. I'm going.
He's like, hey man, you finna have to buy me dinner or something.
I mean, when you're doing
You
that
have
to
a banana
somebody,
in your tailpipe?
you should at least act like you don't like it.
You don't make
You
eye
know?
contact when you're doing all that.
Yeah, is it? I think you have a banana in your tailpipe.
Yeah, that's,
Lord have mercy.
I don't think
I'm telling you,
I've
man.
never enjoyed patting anybody down. I don't care what they look like or what she looked like or anything else. I don't like patting people down. But it's just I've seen somebody enjoy patting JD down, and that just. So we get in the van and we drive to our trips now. We'll be right back. And we're back. Sitting looking on Facebook on the break, I see where somebody's congratulating our favorite banker, Sammy Dixon, for handing out bottles of water at the bank drive-through at Prime Meridian Bank. It's just the new bank president's handing out water bottles at the drive-through. Either he's really a caring person, or they really need some new accounts. So either way, y'all go down there and see Sammy.
So you know what you call
They give you cookies too. That's worth
banking.
banking there just for the cookies.
you know what you call a cow right after he's born?
Calf.
A moo born.
Oh, that was really bad. and Grant, to pick on you a little bit, Grant, I can't believe this morning on the morning show with Preston Scott that you didn't know the dad joke of the day.
Yeah, it didn't come to me. It didn't
What was
register immediately. I didn't even.
What the daddy tomato say to the kid tomato?
What?
Catch up.
That's funny.
I mean, and I'm like, Preston told the dad joke of the day, and I'm like, come on, catch up, Grant, catch up.
He didn't get it?
I'm screaming at the
gotten
radio.
a few of them.
I'm screaming at the radio this morning, driving down the road. People are looking at me funny because I'm yelling, catch up, catch up. Anyway,
That moo born child of his must have kept him up late last night.
That moo-born.
Move on.
Well, we're going to talk about fishing. We got Captain Paul here. I spent the day or the morning yesterday morning, my youngest child. So it was yesterday in Leon County was Take Your Child to Work Day.
Uh-huh.
And that's only for middle school and elementary school. So my high school daughter did not get to go. But Allie Tater, as we call her, Tater, I said, Tater, you going to skip school tomorrow and go to work? He goes, yeah. And I said, well, you going with Mama or me? She said, I want to go with Mama. I said, I said, well, Captain Paul found a shellcracker bed on Lake Seminole, and I was thinking you might want to go to work with me since I'm going shellcracker fishing in the morning. She goes, oh, well, I'm going to work with you then. She goes, what time do I need to set the clock for? And I said, you can set the clock for about 5:30, and then we get up and we'll eat a little breakfast and head over to Lake Seminole. And buddy, she come in there and woke me up. My alarm hadn't even gone off yet. Daddy, you got to get up. It's time to go. Big old smile. She was dressed. Already had her. She had eaten a bagel. You want a bagel? She got up, made breakfast. She's ready to go. And that child had a smile on her face all the way over there. And then we got on the boat, and I'll let Paul go from there.
I tell you what, we got to pull up on a shellcracker bed we just found the evening before, and that's the best time. No one's messed with them yet. They fresh, and we pulled up there, and we only had to move maybe 5 foot.
Yeah.
Then we got them dialed in, and that young'un can fish.
And she likes
I said, I'll bait you. She goes, no, I'll do it. Because
Catch all
I
worm?
don't fish. I try to take the fish off. Boy, she took bait her own hook, cooked her
Worms,
own fish
crickets?
up. Worms?
No crickets?
Oh, absolutely not.
You got to have
You ever
them.
catch
You got to have
shellcracker
them kung fu worms, because what you do is you
Yeah,
take
yeah,
that
yeah.
worm and you drop it right there in front of that shellcracker's nose, and that worm kung fu's him right in the face, and yeah.
Where'd you get a kung fu worm?
Oh, I have a special place I dig them up. I told her, I said, just put this one on there, and he's going to go down there, and he's going to kick him right in the nose. And that worm down there and went whap, hit that shellcracker. Boy, that shellcracker backed up.
Is that some of that land that China bought up?
Yeah.
Well, he
It
has
worked,
to
though,
dig real.
didn't
They
it,
have to
JD?
dig almost to China to get them, but they have to dig a little deep hole.
It's a kung fu worm.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, can you? Where can you?
The worm you drop it down, and we could see it. She goes, I see him. She
Do
dropped
they have
it
like
down
black
there,
belts or?
and that thing would sit there and just go pap, 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 and hit the shellcracker in the face like that. Then the shellcracker would eat it. Wouldn't it? You
Yeah.
saw it.
Yeah.
All right, now hold on.
Fred, this a fish.
That's why I asked you. I said,
it's
you
a
think
fish story now, Fred.
I said, you think Fred would like to do something like this? He said, I don't know. I don't think anybody would like this.
I mean, well, look, I just like to see the worm do a
Oh,
little,
it's cool. You
little
drop it down there.
taekwondo. I mean,
So shellcracker's bed in what we're fishing, 1.5 foot?
Foot and a half, 2 foot of
and a
water.
half, 2 foot
Yeah.
of water, and it's clear. So you can, when the sun comes out earlier in the morning,
You couldn't
early in the
see
morning
that.
when it's dark and the sun ain't up yet, or we had some cloudy morning yesterday, so we were just kind of pitching, dropping it over in holes in the grass and stuff, so you're just kind of guessing at where they're at. Well, as the sun comes up, you can see the fish.
Yeah, I gave Allie some I keep 4 or 5 extra pair of sunglasses, Waterland sunglasses in the boat. Having polarized glasses is everything.
Oh, yeah.
Looking into the water.
Sure.
And boy, I gave her those and put that straw hat on her head, and she's like, "Oh, I see him." Then it was on after that. She's catching them, boy.
well, it sounds like the kung fu worm did all the work.
Well,
I
it
mean,
did.
Well, yeah, but you still got to put it. The worm ain't but about it ain't but a couple inches long, so you still got to drop it right there on his nose so he can reach up there and slap him.
That's right.
Okay.
And these were we caught
And these are not store bought. You have to dig for them.
No, I had to dig these up.
Okay.
we brought home 59 shellcracker. I would say the smallest shellcracker was probably 3/4 of a pound, and the biggest ones were about 1.25 pounds.
You got any more of those worms left
Just a few.
in your truck?
Nope. They're in the
Yeah, he
tackle
told
room.
you he has to dig them up. Now he's not giving away his spot.
And we ain't gonna tell you where on
And
Lake.
that man carries where them worms are.
Hey, and we're also not gonna tell you on where of the 33,000 acres of Lake Seminole where that shellcracker bed was
But,
at.
letting folks know that want to do some bass fishing. How many bass did we see blowing big shellcracker up out of the water that day? It was went back to that same spot today with some folks bass fishing. I didn't see one strike, but they there.
Yeah, they were in there working on them. You take a bass that can eat a 3/4 pound shellcracker, and we were literally
We watched them
seeing
blow 'em out of
we were
water.
seeing them hit them, knock them out of the water.
What do you got a kung fu shell cracker you can?
No, you have to use a few spro frog for that.
A kung fu frog?
Yeah, kung fu frog. Kind of resembles a shell cracker a little bit.
But we had absolutely awesome day. That child was
God,
tickled to
that was
death.
blast.
I guess you name it Kermit's son or something like that.
Yeah, it was fun. She got to ride around, and after we left, and I drove her by. We went back through recovery, and I showed her a lot of my old stomping grounds and stuff, and was a good time, man. I tell you, there's never a bad day on Lake Seminole.
I tell you, even if I had a trip today and the bite was a lot slower, different conditions today. These guys wanted to catch bass on topwater baits, and I was like, about 9 o'clock, I was like, this is not going to happen today. And they said, but man, one bite on a frog, they jump out of the water and hit it good is worth 8 or 9 bites on a worm, So we stuck with it, and they finally said, let's go see if we can catch a few on a worm. So we pulled up to a sandbar and threw that Senko, like I was showing her. I think they caught 7 in like 30 minutes.
Really?
Awesome. Well, so on the lake, if you're looking for brim and shellcracker beds, what environment are you looking for?
You want to find sandbar, sandy areas that have shells. Most of the sandbars you have shell, you got mussel beds on the lake. Because as soon as the shellcracker come in there and fan their beds, there's shells underneath the sand. And
freshwater shells, freshwater mussels, that kind of thing.
That's right. And then same way with the brim beds. They're going to start bedding here in probably the second week of May. And that they'll do the same thing. But you want to find, if you can find peppergrass. Peppergrass is it grows on a stem. It's leafy. How's the best way to describe that?
It's a long, skinny leaf. There's a lot of them. It's very different from a lot of the other grasses that grow. You can look at it and say it's got a long, probably a 3-inch long, half an inch wide leaf on there that looks like a vine.
Kind of like an oak leaf.
It looks like a vine growing up out of the water.
Maybe you can put it on the YouTube version of the show.
Yeah, so the peppergrass only grows on hard sandy bottom. Well, that's aquatic peppergrass. That's something you're looking at.
So you're looking at hard sandy bottom, peppergrass growing. There's probably a shellcracker in the vicinity.
Yeah, and they'll be in the area where we was at. It was probably the size of about 2 acres of a sandbar, and there was just key places where they were bedding up at.
Yeah, and so when you find shellcracker, you're going to find bass.
A lot of the times, yes.
Okay.
Especially when you find a brim bed, you're going to find bass.
Right.
That was the most bass I've seen blowing up on a shellcracker's bed, but I just think because in that area the shad hasn't moved down that far yet, and that's just a lot of bait in the one area, and then bass have moved in to feed on them. But this morning, they were not feeding on them this morning.
Yeah, but we saw yesterday. We probably saw 10 or 12.
They might have got full from yesterday.
10 or 12 big bass working in there where all those
just mowing on the shellcracker.
Yeah, and that's like Paul said. I've never seen that before. Not
seen it on brim beds for sure, but not as much on shellcracker.
Yeah, the bluegill is the preferred. Shellcrackers get really big. So
sure,
world record shellcrackers close to 5 pounds.
And that was caught at Merritt's Mill Pond, wasn't it? Wasn't that caught at Merritt's Mill?
Really?
The current world record was from somewhere up north, but Merritt's Mill Pond held the world record shellcracker for years, and I want to say it was 4
talking
pounds.
About Erwin Jackson's play?
4 pounds 11 ounces, if I remember right.
That's a big one.
Merritt's Mill Pond's a whole different ball game, hard to fish,
very
hard to fish place because
very clear,
crystal clear.
Yeah,
but grew up fishing there with my grandfather. But anyway, the shellcracker get much bigger than bluegills.
What's the water temperature on Seminole?
This morning it was 83 degrees.
Really?
Yeah, it warmed up. Yesterday it was like 77, 76 in the morning. This morning it was 82, 83.
About time to go swimming.
Yeah, it's getting that way. The gators are out though. They look, they out big ones.
Uh-huh.
We saw a grown one.
Yeah, we sure did.
All right. Well, that's it for this week. See y'all next time.
Bye.